Good afternoon. Today I'm going to try for you guys Dr. James Crow Old Crow Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Kind of drink this one a little faster because it's in plastic, and what does the Scout hate? The Scout hates plastic. But when you get the 375s, a lot of times that's what you get. All right, enough said. This brand is an old brand. This James Crow here, this Old Crow here, this is an 80 proof, and it is only 3 years in new charred white oak barrels. This is a Beam Suntory product. This is a Jim Beam product that was bought in 1987. When Jim Beam bought it, they just put it, basically it's the Jim Beam White aged 1 less year. If you believe that Jim Beam White's aged 4 years as they portray. But they blend this different. It gives it a different flavor from the blend, and that's where where it comes into its own, I guess you could say. Dr. James Crow is a very famous man. He was a chemist and a physician in Scotland, made his way to Kentucky in, I don't know, he ended up at the Glens Creek Distillery in 1835. Then he worked another 20 years at the old Oscar Pepper Distillery, and then he rounded out his career and he passed away. He was working at the basically old Taylor Distillery. The older stuff, there's a lot of history with this, and that's not tied to this. But I mean, in the 1800s, this was considered the drink to drink. And the late 20th century, they started running their backings a little earlier into the process, and when they did, it changed the palate and the flavor of it, and they lost a lot of their customers. I don't know the year, the time frame, I just know it's what I've read. I do know that I've watched an old Western with Kirk Douglas, and he had an old bottle of Old Crow he was drinking from. I noticed that it's been couple years ago, because I had to stop and say, whoa, what's he drinking? And anyway, I don't even remember the name of the movie, to tell you the truth. It's one of the older Westerns, though, he did back in the 50s. Anyway, this product is, like I said, different than what the other stuff was. The Old Crow that Mark Twain and Grant and all the old people that that was known for in the 1800s as a very fine whiskey, and but those days are gone. Now, I want to tell you, I think this is a very fine product. I think this is probably, for a 3-year-old, my new favorite 3-year-old whiskey, in all honesty. For a 40 proof 3-year-old whiskey, let's put it that way, 40 proof 3-year-old. This is really quite interesting. It is a honey colored. It has decent legs. I mean, for a 3-year-old, you're not going to expect real slow, but it does move kind of slow. I already told you the proof is 40% alcohol by volume. Anyway, nose, you get the vanilla. You get a light caramel, not a dark caramel, a very light caramel with this one. We get cherry on the nose. There's the corn component, a light, young, sweet corn. And you do get a bit of the wood, and it's a slight tannicness in the nose, if you will, but it's not unappealing. Just every bit so much of a spirit drive when you get your nose in there. In the vanilla, marshmallow and cherry on the palate. I get a lot. I don't know why I get cherries with this. I have since the beginning. There is a little bit of that wood in there still, a little bit of that tannic wood. There's just a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of cinnamon. Those are both coming through in there as far as the spices go. It finishes slightly tannic or acetone, but then it goes into my cherry mash. Now, in the United States, we have what's called Chase Candy Company, Chase's Cherry Mash. Every time I have drank or had, I've had several other bourbons too that remind me of cherry mash. So we'll do a quick pairing because I should be able to quickly identify it. There is a chocolate on this outside cherry mash. Just put that in the pocket. What's in your pocket, Mr. Frodo? Now, this is what the inside of the cherry mash looks like. I've seen another type of cherry mash too that has the cherry on the inside, and it's more of a swirl as it comes around. A little different, but basically roughly the same thing. And that's peanut in there. Maybe I can give you a quick thing of the ingredients here. Tell you how to make cherry mash milkshakes, cherry mash sundaes. Ingredients: Coke chocolate, whey powder, cocoa powder, lectin, ground roasted peanuts. That's what I'm getting there. And of course cherries and the high fructose corn syrup and all the sugar and powdered sugar and all kinds of stuff. We're getting a little. We don't need to go there. This ain't to figure that out. But the interior flavor of this that's what I get. Now, as the entirety of the treat, with the chocolate and the peanuts and the cherry inside of it, with they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. You wouldn't want to make a habit of getting too carried away with that. You might make yourself sick. But that complements each other very well. Anyway, I digress now. We know what cherry mashes are. Score for this bourbon. It's a 36-month-old bourbon, but I particularly like it. So I'm going to give it an 82, and that doesn't sound like a high score, but that's really a pretty good score. Have no qualms about repurchasing this. I like it better than the Jim Beam White, which is aged 1 year more, but the blending on this to me is more comparable to my palate than the white is. The white comes across more as a mixer. This I can drink straight. I have no issues. So, and this is a bottom shelf bourbon by basically Beam Suntory. I got much else to say about it, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Remember, the spirit in your glass isn't running from you. Take your time, sip it, and enjoy it. You'll be better for it, as will we all. Have a good afternoon.